What is going on, everybody? This is Patriot Independence. Back at it again with a lot of breaking news. Today is Saturday, January 3rd, 2026. And boy, oh boy, the saying has never been truer: war and rumors of wars. Boy, oh boy. So, in case you haven't heard, this morning around, I want to say about 4 o'clock this morning, Eastern time, Trump and the Trump administration gave the order to go in, bomb Venezuela, and take Maduro out, pretty much, like go in and capture him. And there's a lot of videos. We'll play a lot of the videos today on today's stream, but Trump is set to speak at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to go ahead and do a couple things here before he starts talking. I've got that other thing pulled up too of the White House YouTube page. But first thing I want to do is talk about some posts that are going around. This guy here says, Trump, a lot of good planning after Venezuela strikes. It was brilliant. By the way, how am I sounding, everybody? Does the volume, the microphone, does everything sound okay? Let me know in the chat before we get started. All right. Yeah, thanks, man. I was just wondering, had a couple problems there the other day, the last stream. Oh, I got another thing pulled up here. Okay. All right. Yeah. So, all right. So on what I was talking about, it says the New York Times called Trump at 4:30 in the morning, just 10 minutes after he announced capturing Maduro. And in case you didn't know, I had posted on my X account. I think it was like, I want to say like within the first 5 minutes of Trump posting on True Social that they actually captured Maduro and his wife. Now, I think it's weird they captured his wife too, but I'll go into that later on. But it says he actually picked up. The call lasted 50 seconds. Trump sounded tired, which, I mean, the guy's pushing 80. I think he's like 80 years old. And it can't be easy being president. But it said, sounded tired, called the military operation brilliant, and praised the planning and troops involved. But when asked if he consulted Congress before launching what he called a large-scale strike on another country, things got vague. We'll discuss that. We're going to have a news conference, which I just said they're going to have a news conference at 11 a.m. and we'll go to that live once they, because we all know they say 11 a.m., but it could be 11:10, 11:20. You just never know. So, all right. So I'm getting a thing up here about my audio. Does the audio still sound good, or is it cutting out again? All right, well, we'll just get on back to it. But it says, we'll discuss that. We're going to have a news conference. The reporter tried asking what comes next for Venezuela and why the high-risk mission was worth it. And I'll tell you what I think coming up. Trump had the same answer before hanging up. You're going to hear about it at 11 o'clock. That press conference is set for 11 a.m. for Mar-a-Lago, which, if you follow me on X, I posted that as it came out. Trump has been he's been there for the past 2 weeks. Now, let's touch on this Congress thing. All right. All these people, you got all these people on X. This person, you got the New York Times and all these other people, all of them saying, hey, you should have did this with Congress, and Trump had no right, and all this stuff, and they said he had pretty much, they're saying he had no right to drop bombs in Venezuela. Well, for better or for worse, regardless of your personal opinion on the matter, or even my opinion on the matter, Trump does in fact legislatively have the right to do this. I think a lot of you, if you know stuff about this whole thing, think a lot of you are familiar with the 1973 War Powers Resolution, which allows this is congressionally, which allows this. It was congressionally passed, I think, like 50 to 53 years ago, and it allows the president to engage in military, quote, hostilities for 60 days without congressionally approved declaration of war, so long as within 48 hours of the initiation of the, quote, military hostilities, the president tells Congress what's going on. So let's say it happened at 4 a.m. So that was 7 hours ago, roughly 7 hours ago. So he's only 7 hours in and he has 48 hours to do so. So he's got 40 to 41 hours left, roughly. It's just these people, a lot of people, and then plus I think the Article 2 actually protects him as well. So, I mean, it's like these people are talking about congressional approval and all this, but like I said, for better or for worse, no matter what anybody thinks about it, this has been the precedent for quite a while, for like I said, at least 50 some plus years. As a matter of fact, a lot of presidents have made use of the War Powers Resolution, including both of the Bushes, Reagan, and Obama. They've, dropping bombs all over the place, offing people, all the covert operations that's happened in Latin America, like Obama's Operation Fast and Furious, the Middle East, you name it. So yeah, I mean, he didn't break any laws. And I don't know if anybody else thinks it's weird. I think it's odd that they went in and captured Maduro. It's one thing that they went in and captured Maduro, but they got him and his wife, which is just kind of odd to me. And it's this one here. This guy says, let's see. Let me pull it up. Sources in the Venezuelan opposition tell Sky News that tonight's operation to, quote, capture Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife was part of a, quote, negotiated exit between Maduro and the United States. Now, you have to take this with a grain of salt because this is coming from Sky News. So maybe it's true, maybe it's not. It's very early on. Allegedly this is maybe, hold on a minute, I'm getting some intel here. And all right, like I said, where I left off, it's very early on. Maybe this is the dynamic that actually Maduro agreed to. Maduro was actually maybe he was actually negotiating with the United States, that he signed off on this, like I said earlier, some type of plea deal. Maybe Maduro, pretty much maybe Maduro has pretty much made a deal, because if you remember earlier, Pam Bondi put a post out about the charges and all this stuff. So with this whole negotiated exit, it kind of makes you wonder. And Maduro, he knew his days were numbered. And Trump, listen, surrender. We can pull off a negotiated exit. You come to the U.S., you can work with me, and you can spill the beans on all the delinquent behavior, all the voter fraud, smartmatic voting machines, the election fraud, election interference, the drug smuggling, narcotics. Was he working with the Democrats? Has he ever worked with the Democrats? And then he's saying, hey, look, now this is just my, thought right now of what it could be. Like, hey, they went in, because why else would they get him and his wife unless they're getting ready to make him like a sweetheart deal? You know what I mean? And that's my opinion. I think they're getting ready to cut him a really good deal. And it's going to be kind of messed up because the dude is the leader of Cartel del Sols or Del Sons or whatever the name of this cartel group is. He's the leader of this cartel group. And if he gets citizenship, I think a lot of people are going to be pissed off, especially after everything that's happened. And if it comes out that he was one of the ones behind the 2020 and everything that happened between 2020 and now, will lay at the feet of Maduro and Biden and all of them. And if he gets citizenship, all for this little plea deal he might take, because the way Pam Bondi's written out, which Scam Blondie is what I call her, but that's neither here nor there. It's just going to be crazy if the dude gets citizenship after all the bad thing that's going on in this country with inflation, all the money gone, and everything, the criminals that came through the border. Maduro helped facilitate that. And you know what? Another thing that's crazy is the Venezuelans. They're literally dancing in the streets right now. I've seen videos where they're so ecstatic that Maduro is gone, and it turns out he actually wasn't the most well-liked guy. And then you have the blockade. Trump is imposing a blockade. And that the country is becoming increasingly impoverished because of the blockade. Intentions are, domestic. All the tensions are high domestically in Venezuela, and every single day that goes on, the risk of Maduro getting assassinated by one of his fellow Venezuelans goes up as people become increasingly frustrated and disgruntled. I keep getting these things up about suggestions on my audio. Does the audio sound fine? Can anybody let me know if the audio sounds okay? So, yeah, I think with all that writing on the wall, I think Maduro realized his only way out of this entire situation was to cut a deal with Trump and pretty much come into the United States, sing like a canary, and say, yes, I was working with the Democrats. Yes, I was engaging in election fraud. And yes, he helped the Democrats steal the 2020 election. Maybe this is all a part of a plea deal. They had to go in and get him. So why, they had to make it look good. You know what I mean? That's what I think. They had to make it look good. And I hate to say it, a lot of people said they didn't want to see regime change. This was a regime change operation. Cut and dry. All right. So now we got this guy here, AZ Intel. The U.S. Senate Armed Service Committee says they were not notified ahead of time of potential military action in Venezuela. Now I get to what I think here in a second, and it's going to be crazy. The U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee. Hold on. Can somebody drop I keep getting these things about audio. Can somebody let me know if the audio sounds fine? I'll wait for somebody to reply. All right. Hey, thanks, Captain. All right. Now, where was I? Right here. AZ Intel. The U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee was not notified ahead of time of any potential military action in Venezuela, a source familiar told CNN on Saturday morning. Trump administration officials have not committed to informing congressional committees ahead of potential land strikes in Venezuela, though some lawmakers have insisted that they should be notified before military action would be taken. Venezuela accused the U.S. military of military aggression after explosions rocked the country early this morning. Now, let's actually talk about that. Let's address the elephant in the room. Okay, what didn't happen before this strike took place? Does anyone know what didn't happen? I'll let you guys try to chime in. What didn't happen? Anyone know? Well, I'll tell you. Hey, what's going on, Jeremy? How you doing, man? So does anyone know what didn't happen before this strike took place? There were no leaks. We didn't have any leaks at all. None, nothing. Nobody even knew it was going to happen. It was just the only reason people knew it was happening is because the bombs started going off and people in Venezuela were posting it on X. There was absolutely zero leaks. Now, does anyone think that that's kind of weird? We didn't have any leaks. Isn't that a little bit weird? That this operation went off perfectly without a hitch? They were in and out in under 2 hours, guys. The rockets were, shooting off. The boots on the ground, the special forces boots on the ground operators, they went in, apprehended Maduro and his wife. They put him in a helicopter. They flew him out. And by the way, not a single American casualty. Not one. This was perfect. It was the perfect operation. Not a single leak. And then you factor that the Trump administration didn't tell the Armed Services Committee. I wonder if there's something to be learned from that. Maybe it's just a coincidence. But what does that tell you? Because I can tell you what it tells me, that the people in Congress and senators and all this, they can't be trusted. If he would have went through and told people and all this, I guarantee you they would have been waiting for them in Venezuela. They would have shot down helicopters, and it would have been a massive news scandal this morning. It would have been massive. We had zero leaks, nothing. I think it's a lot that can be said about that. It's just, it further proves the point that Trump needs to get in there and clean house. Get these people out. It says, breaking, Maduro was arrested to stand trial on criminal charges in the U.S. and no further military action is expected. Yeah, see, they went in, they got him. I think it was a part of a plea deal thing, like, hey, look, we're going to come in, we're going to come get you, pretty much like this, keep it quiet type thing. And then it's Secretary Rubio told Senator Mike Lee. So it says, just got off the phone with Senator Rubio, or Secretary Rubio. He informed me that Nicolas Maduro has been arrested by U.S. personnel to stand trial on criminal charges in the United States, and that the kinetic action we saw tonight was deployed to protect and defend those executing the arrest warrant. This action likely falls within the president's inherent authority under Article 2, but it also falls into the 1973 War Powers Act, like I just stated a couple minutes ago. Article 2 of the Constitution to protect U.S. personnel from an actual or imminent attack. So, and people can say, oh, well, there was no imminent attack. Well, let's see. They were shipping drugs over to the United States. They sent all these criminals in to the United States from the open border. Then, on top of that, in 2020, they helped the Democrats rig the election. And I hope and pray that my suspicion about a plea deal with Trump and Maduro, I hope that my hunch on that is right. Because if it comes out, dude, I'm going to tell you now, it's going to lay waste to the Democrat Party. They're not going to know what to do. And if something like that happens, every patriotic American in this country needs to have their head on a swivel, because if that comes out, be on the look for false flags to happen at that point. Yeah, I like them emojis, Jeremy. Thanks, man. It keeps the chat rate up. Then we had a post from Tom Cotton. Nicolas Maduro wasn't just an illegitimate dictator. He also ran a vast drug trafficking operation. That's why he was indicted in U.S. court nearly 6 years ago for drug trafficking, narco-terrorism. And see that one right there, narco-terrorism, that's the one that's going to be the nail in his coffin right there. That is going to be the death penalty if the death penalty is on the table. It says he just spoke to Secretary Rubio. Let's see, what time is it? We got a couple minutes here. Let me check the YouTube real quick. Let's pull up the White House. We'll refresh and see if they're live yet. All right, so it says they'll begin shortly. So once he goes live, we'll go to that, okay? $800,000 people, or is that 300? 300,000 people a year dying of chemical drugs is a chemical. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It falls under chemical warfare, bio warfare, with the fentanyl and the Coca-Cola and all of that. That it's chemical attack on the American people. So yeah, I mean, I would say that there was a pretty legitimate threat with Maduro in power, considering the fact that he was or is the leader of Cartel del Sols or del Sons. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that, but he's the leader of that cartel group, and he was the president of Venezuela. I mean, does anybody know the history of Venezuela? Venezuela was once the most prosperous and richest country in Latin America at one point, before socialism and communism. And once socialism and communism crept in, it is the shithole that it is today. And that's what these dumbasses here in America don't realize, that once, like in New York's about to see firsthand what happens with socialism. They're about to see it firsthand. 10:59. Let's check in on YouTube real quick. It should be starting soon, but like I said, it's hard to tell. They'll probably go, over. Jeremy, would you mind keeping an eye out on here and drop in the chat? Let me know when they start. Would you mind doing that? Is that all right? So he says he spoke to Secretary Rubio, who confirmed that Maduro is in U.S. custody and will face justice for his crimes against our citizens. I commend President Trump and our brave troops and law enforcement officers for this incredible operation. The interim government in Venezuela must now decide whether to continue the drug trafficking and colluding with adversaries like Iran and Cuba. And I think Cuba and Colombia, I think they're next. Especially Cuba. Because Cuba has got ties, really deep ties with China and Russia. I think Cuba could be next. Or whether to act like a normal nation and return to the civilized world, I urge them to choose wisely. And then we got Scam Blondie. She says Nicolas Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. That's a really good place. I mean, look at what they did with the Epstein stuff in there. Nicolas Maduro, I mean, isn't that where, if he's being held in, oh, Jesus, y'all, we might get an Epstein 2.0 if he's being held in the same place where Epstein was. If he's got intel on the Democrat Party and all of their dirty laundry, he might get the Epstein treatment. So they need to, if he's getting ready to do a plea deal with all these crimes, but I'll get to that in a second. Let me finish reading this. Nicolas Maduro has been charged with narco-terrorism conspiracy. See, the narco-terrorism conspiracy, that's the big one. All right, let's see here. Let's go to YouTube. Okay, so you're saying that Maduro and his wife are in... Yeah, see, if they take him to New York, dude, oh my God, that's going to be a bad day. The narco-terrorism conspiracy is the big one. Cocaine importation, conspiracy, possession of machine pews and destructive devices, conspiracy to possess machine pews and destructive devices against the United States. They will soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts if he's not unalived. Unless he's given the Epstein treatment, they're literally taking him to the same place Epstein was. That could be wrong, but yeah, but I think, well, no, because Comey's daughter, she was over the Southern District of New York, but I don't know if she's still there. Is she? Is she still there? Is anybody drop in the chat? I don't know if she's still there or not. The full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts. On behalf of the entire U.S. DOJ, I would like to thank President Trump for having the courage to demand accountability on behalf of the American people, and a huge thank you to our brave military who conducted the incredible and highly successful mission to capture these two alleged international narco traffickers. See, it was successful because they didn't tell anybody. They kept it under wraps and there was no leaks. That's why it was successful. And what's crazy is if they're taking him to the Southern District of New York, we all know Southern District of New York is corrupt. Everybody knows that. It's full of deep state globalist operatives. And it's corrupt. And if he's going to be in the same place where Epstein was, I think we need to look. If him and his wife are going to be in the same facility where Epstein was, be watching on the news for, oh, Maduro, he unalived himself in the jail with a sheet that was hanging 2 feet from the ground. Be watching for that. Or something will mysteriously happen and he'll mysteriously have a heart attack. Because I'm going to tell you now, the Democrats, they are not going to want what he knows coming out with the election fraud stuff. And now I'm pretty sure Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I'm pretty sure the YouTuber Monkeyworks did a video where they tracked Epstein's jet. I think it was the day of or the day after he supposedly unalived himself in New York. His private jet went from New York down to the Caracas Islands north of in Venezuela, and it hasn't moved since. Is that where Epstein's hiding? Does anybody think that's kind of odd? I think it's pretty weird. Maybe they don't want that dirty laundry getting out. But remember I was telling you all how people were cheering, everybody was happy because Maduro's gone? Listen to this. Everybody's cheering. Everybody's cheering. Yeah, nobody liked him, and I think he knew that, and I think that's why he cut a deal with Trump, and I think we're gonna see that in the coming days that he's cutting a plea deal. I guarantee you, because they are nailing him with those charges, and I'm almost positive he's gonna cut a plea deal, and I think that's why Trump wanted him, because he knows where all the bodies are buried. Trump administration asked him to track them, said it on his show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Monkeyworks on YouTube. Yep. So it's this one here. I've never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time, and I watched every aspect of it, said Trump on the capture of Venezuela. It was amazing to see the professionalism, and because you didn't have any leaks. Monkey tracked his jet to Caracas for the Trump administration. Yeah, so it was Monkeyworks. Yep. They tracked it from New York. It was like the day of his supposed unaliving or the day after. It was within like a day or two. And they tracked Epstein's private jet from New York down to the Caracas Islands in Venezuela. Let me do a check-in here on the press conference real quick. I doubt it. It says 11, but like I told you a little bit ago, they'll say 11 a.m., but it'll be, 11:20. Hell, it might not even be till 11:30. But that's all right, though. That's all right. I'm here for it. You guys are here for it. We are cooking today, boy. What do you all think, man? Here, let's watch this one here. This was Trump on the whole Maduro thing.
This is something that, I've never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time, and I watched every aspect of it, and I listened to the communication.
Yeah, Maduro was captured in Caracas. Caracas and the Caracas Islands are two different places. See, the Caracas Islands are north off the coast of Venezuela. They're right there off the coast that's why they call them the Caracas Islands. There's a little island chain right there. But Caracas, yeah, that's where Maduro was.
Vacation between, where we were in Florida and out in the field in Venezuela. And it was amazing to see the professionalism, the quality of...
It was so good because he didn't have any leaks. He didn't tell nobody. There was no traitors.
Leadership, the professionalism. General Raisin Kane is fantastic. Don't forget, we did another one not so long ago. It was called the knocking out of the Iranian nuclear threat, the nuclear power. And that was unbelievable what they did there. And this is something that, I don't know, it's amazing. And to have a few injuries, but no death on our side is really amazing.
He said
I've
on
never
our
seen
side.
anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time.
I'll get into some of the videos after the press conference, or maybe even before the press conference, depending on when it starts. But he said there was no injuries, and he says on our side, I'll tell you what, the U.S. military went in there and cooked, boy. I mean, I was watching it as it was coming out on X. What else did Special Forces get while they were there? Yeah, that's another thing too. More Epstein information, more went on in that raid than Maduro. Yeah, you are absolutely right. I think Epstein knows. I think Maduro knows where all the bodies are buried. That I think, and see, he needs to be in 24-hour protective custody. Put him on suicide watch. Put him on any type of watch to make sure nothing happens to him until he goes to trial and gives the information that he has in his mind. Yep. I think he knows everything, and I think that's why they went there. He knows where all the bodies are buried. You never know. Like you're saying, Jeremy, they could have went in there, and once they got Maduro, they could have went in and got hard drives, documents. I mean, you don't know what else they got. You know, we're not told everything. All we're seeing is what they want us to see. And that's one thing that's important that people need to remember. We're only going to see what they want us to see. There was no hiding this, so it had to come out. But I just think it speaks volumes, the fact that they went in, pulled the operation off within 2 hours and went off without a hitch. They said it was, quote, a piece of cake. I mean, that speaks a lot. The legend himself, Alex Jones, press conference in minutes. Well, let's switch over and see. It still hasn't come up yet. So we'll get back to it here in a second when it comes up. The legend himself, Alex Jones. Maduro asked for a fight, and history gave him a knockout. Elon fights with satellites and code. Maduro fought with rhetoric and electronic voting machines, stealing U.S. elections. And that's another thing, too. This whole voting thing, it's been going on, and it's going to come out. And you guys, if anybody's listening to this, you can say it's a conspiracy theory, whatever you want. It's the fact. This has been going on for the better part of 20 years, and it's been going on for, like I said, 20 years and multiple countries. I think 70, can correct me in the chat, but I'm pretty sure it's like 75 countries use this voting system, and all these 75 countries, their elections have been rigged for the better part of 20 some years. I mean, think about that for a second. Trump just chopped off the head of one of the deep state's biggest funding mechanisms. Absolutely. And there he is. They got him. They got all the operators' faces blurred out, which they're supposed to do that. So it protects their identities. Look, see, this is what I was telling you. They are happy that Maduro is gone. They hated him there. No matter what the propaganda was telling you, they hated him there. They hated him. Look. Everybody's cheering. See, it's just like this guy here says. Today, you're going to hear the same cast of paid leftist clowns trying to spin the arrest of Maduro like it's going to start with World War III. Listen to the people of Venezuela. They are celebrating a cartel leader who destroyed their country is finally gone. And it's just like I told you. At one point in time in history, Venezuela was literally the most prosperous, richest, and well, they had so many natural resources there. I mean, it was the richest and prosperous country in Latin America. And then socialism came in, and look at it now. It's a shithole. Their economy is done. The same thing they're trying to do with the United States. They are so happy that he is gone. In a historic celebratory moment, millions of Venezuelans are jubilantly celebrating as socialism's grip ends after decades of oppression. The Maduro regime has collapsed in a U.S.-led operation, freeing millions from hyperinflation, starvation, and narco-terrorism. Think about that, guys. Think about that. These people finally have a chance at freedom if they put in the right people to lead the country. If they keep putting the same old people in, another Maduro, stay behind person from the stay, because you know as well as I do, there's stay behind people right now that were loyal to Maduro. If they get in, it'll continue the same way. Anyone that had contact and was loyal to Maduro, they need to be out. Hold on, you guys. I got a somebody wants to call here. What's going on, Virtus Media? You're on the Patriot Independence Live.
Hey, Rick Grenell has been compromised and been working against the Trump administration as a special envoy. They're trying to put in some other more radical people in place. He's in conflict with Trump and Hexa. He's been compromised. He's been caught on video diddling a 15-year-old boy.
Oh my goodness, y'all! Did you guys?
I knew that a couple of weeks ago, but that is what's happening. Is there's a conflict between Rick Grenell, and he's working with the cartels and everybody on the ground through the CIA.
Yeah.
And then Hexa and Trump. And then it's a conflict there on who to put in. They want their CIA plant. Somebody just like Bernard. There's two people, a man and lady, that they're trying to put in.
Yeah.
That control everything, that are above Maduro.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. That
Right. But Rick Grenell is the one pushing this to the Trump administration, wanted to drag it out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's been compromised on tape, and I think that was on Alex Jones the other day. Patrick Byrne mentioned it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was just saying on stream to the people that if they don't put in somebody, because see, they're going to have stay behind people, and if they put in somebody that was loyal to Maduro, it's just going to continue the same way.
That's what the Grenell is. That's your conflict within the Trump administration. Rick Grenell is compromised with the 15-year-old video. I heard Russia is it, or somebody has him under the thumb. But the point is, Trump needs to get rid of him.
Yeah, so they pretty much compromised them, and now they're using him as a puppet.
So now Trump has, within his own bubble, conflict.
Yeah.
Deep state. Grenell's part of the deep state. Because I'm going to say that if you're homosexual, you got a homosexual in office, and he does that.
Yeah.
That's why you don't put a homosexual in office. Sorry, that's the way it is.
Well, not only that, the fact that
our government was formed for a godly, moral people, not homosexual to put into office.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I mean, he's doing it with a 15-year-old kid. And I mean, homosexual or not, it was a kid involved. You know what I mean?
It's a kid when you put him in there. I'm just saying, it's a 15-year-old. But the stuff with the 15-year-old kids is going on all throughout the government. We knew that.
Yeah. Well, you're on the live right now. You want to shout your channel out?
Yeah. Also, if you would go over to Virtus Media Studio, that's Virtus Media Studio 1776, or Virtus Media 1776. Me and Patriot Independence here are partners.
Yeah.
That is Virtus Media 1776. get me up to 50 subscriptions, and I can go live with a lot of Second Amendment information and also cross-reference a lot of information Patriot Independence does here.
Yeah, so hey, you heard that, everybody. At Virtus Media.
And just for records, you guys know I work private security myself, armed security, and the resource for Patriot Independence. I help him out.
Yeah, so hey, you hear that, everybody? At Virtus Media 1776. Go ahead and give him a subscribe and get him up to 50, so that way he can start doing live streams with me. But all right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and
we'll see you later.
All right, have a good one.
Sex Semper Tyrannis.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Had a phone call from Virtus Media. Let me double check real quick on the White House. Let's see if it's starting. It still hasn't started yet, y'all. So before I play any of the, because I don't want to be deep into all the videos of the bombings, and then he starts talking. So I'm going to be right back in a couple minutes. Give me a couple minutes and I will be right back. All right, I am back. So the press conference has not started yet. So I will go ahead and check out some of these videos here with you. Let's check some of them out. You know what the crazy thing is? One of the bombings that hit, they actually bombed the grave site. It was like a what do you call those things? It's like a mausoleum, and it was where Hugo Chavez's body is at, and they blew up the mausoleum where Chavez is buried. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Ay, mamá, huevo. Erga, se metieron los de la USA, papi. Los que tienen 14 años son más grandes que Kenya.
Yep, they went in and just obliterated them. Check this one out. All military targets.
Mira, pero ven acá, no se metan para acá, no sabemos qué hay ahí que se queda aquí. Sí.
Check this one out. Look at that. Precision strikes. Everybody drop a like and subscribe. Drop a like and subscribe. If I hit 500 subscribers, I can do subscription monetization, where I can do members only live streams, like do special live streams. Look at all the Chinooks. I think those are the CH-47s, I believe. Jeremy, is that right? The CH-47 Chinooks, I believe. The double propeller helicopters, not the Ospreys, but the other ones. Look at them all. Look at every one of them, man. They went in and did work, boys. This is what happens when you fuck around with America.
Mierda, marico, se prendió el peo en esta mierda, ¿oyó? Marico, llegamos a tiempo a la casa, ¿oyó?
Marico, mira esa mierda.
Oh, I didn't see your chat, Captain. Hey, thanks, man. I'm trying, brother. I'm still new to all this. On my page, I have where, let's see. I'm pretty sure I shared the video of them doing yeah, this is the mausoleum one right here where they blew up Chavez's Hugo Chavez's burial site.
Explotar el 4F. Acaban de explotar el 4F.
Yep, right there.
Acaban de.
I think that was kind of like a big FU to them. Here's some more.
Se escuchan helicópteros, son las 1:58 de la mañana. Están atacando el fuerte Fiuna.
Look at all them sites. Yeah, those are the Chinooks. They weren't messing around.
Se escuchan helicópteros.
They weren't messing around when they went in there. Oof. And it was said that a lot of the hits were all military targets. They went in and took out all their military targets. And it's also being reported that a lot of the areas around Caracas is without power right now. Like, I want to say like a third of the city is without power, because whenever they hit those military targets, it overloaded the transformers and the whatever, electric grid they had there, and it knocked a lot of the power out. You can see the big dark sections. All the dark sections. After this, we'll check. So let's check on in. Hold on, wrong one. It has not went live yet. "30 minutes passed when they said it would start." So let's see. Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Pedrino Lopez reported alive despite initial claims denounced the strikes as aggressive acts endangering regional stability. Chaos ensued in Caracas, with residents fleeing amid aircraft activity, secondary explosions, and armored vehicles. The Venezuelan government declared an emergency and lodged UN protest. See, you gotta be careful, because a lot of these like really left-leaning people or left-leaning news agencies, they're gonna say, "Oh, this is, a catastrophe, and the dictator Trump and war crimes and all this." When earlier I spoke, when I was telling you, Trump has two things going in his favor. He's got his Article 2 congressional powers, and then the 1973 War Powers Resolution. He was well within his rights to do this. And like I was telling you, the fact that the Armed Service Committee, Congress, nobody was notified, and it went off perfectly. Because there was absolute secrecy. And they're talking about, oh, there were people who are hating it and all this. Well, I just showed you couple videos of multiple, in multiple locations, of millions of people cheering and tearing down Maduro's signs. I mean, the people are happy. They're so happy because they're finally free. So don't let the mainstream media lie to you, okay? Oh, this guy here. "It's ridiculous to be bombing socialists in Venezuela when there are socialists that could be bombed for much cheaper in America." Oh my God. Well, what I say to that, instead of, you can't, I don't know if you can do that in America. You actually, no, you can't. You can't bomb people in America, but you can certainly gather them up and deport them. Like the Somalis, deport every one of them. And see, and then you got people like this. It's barely January 3rd, and the U.S. terrorist regime has bombed Venezuela, breaking international law. No, there was no international law broken. I just told you what was, what the deal is with the law about it. I never want to hear anyone complain about the border or migrants when the U.S. just blasted a country. Well, actually, the people are ecstatic and happy about it. They're very, very happy about it. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Could there have been a better way to go about this? Yes and no. But I mean, let me just make this clear. I have always had, and I always will have, an anti-war stance. I don't condone war. I don't like war unless it's absolutely necessary. I keep getting these warnings again about audio. Can somebody tell me how does my audio sound? Like my mic, how does everything sound? I'll wait for people to reply. All right. Yeah, thanks, man. All right. U.S. just started to bomb Venezuela. This was 9 hours ago. And see, and the crazy thing is all these people are talking about, oh, it's so horrible and all this and that. You're like, yeah, it's not good. It's not a good look. But at the same time, I think there was a lot more. There's a lot more to meets the eye with this operation. And I think it's a part of a lot bigger, there's a lot bigger picture that needs to be painted here. And I think that we're only seeing like a little small corner of it. I don't think we're seeing the whole picture yet. I think Maduro knows where all the bodies are buried with all the voter fraud, everything. And I think the Democrats are freaking out right now. So they're going to try to paint this as horrible because they don't want their dirty laundry coming out. And that's just how it is. And that's what people need to remember. So you got, as you wake up on this beautiful Saturday morning and hear the news that we bombed Venezuela and captured Maduro and his wife, here's 2 videos of the left melting down saying now we are heading to World War III.
Did this. Well, Trump just bombed Venezuela for no reason.
No reason?
He just attacked an innocent country for no reason.
What about all the fentanyl deaths? What about the voter fraud that they initiated and worked with? What about the deep state? They're literally the arm of the deep state. They're funded. They got a lot of dirty money funded behind them. And Maduro is literally a cartel leader for no reason. What about the people that have died? All the hundreds of thousands of Americans that die every year to fentanyl overdoses or drug overdoses in general, and it comes through from Venezuela and South America for no reason. See, this is what I'm talking about when I say the left is going to go completely apeshit because of this.
This is how bad those files are. The wartime president just started.
Those files, I think we're getting ready to see a lot more. And I think, like with what Jeremy said in the chat earlier, I think that when they went in Venezuela, they got a lot more than just Maduro. Because like I stated to you a little bit ago, Monkeyworks worked with the Trump administration to track Epstein's jet, and Epstein's jet took off. It was either the day of or the day after his supposed unaliving, and it went to the Caracas Islands in Venezuela, and it hasn't left since. I think that when they went in there and they not only got Maduro and his wife, but I think they got a lot more too. I think they got all the evidence. They got all the evidence, and I think it's going to be pretty damning because they're nailing him with all these charges, like the narco-terrorism conspiracy charges. That right there alone is a death penalty, and he'll cut a plea deal. And my thought and my hunch is that they're going to throw all these charges at him, and then they're going to nail it. He's going to come up with a plea deal, and in that plea deal is going to be where you're working with the Democrats with the voting machines, because we all know about the voting machines in Venezuela with Smartmatic. I mean, that's main news now. And if you haven't heard that and you don't believe it, you need either get out from under the rock or get your head out of the sand, because that is 100% going on.
World War III. And you maggots did this to our country. You did this.
No, actually, what's going on with this country is because of the open border that you libtards did in 2020 with Biden, and you guys encouraged it and you wanted the borders opened, and then now look at the effects of those open borders. So here we got some more videos of Venezuela, but before I check them out, I'm going to check and see if he is live yet. Because once he goes live, I want to go right to it. Here we go. He's on.
Of American military might and competence in American history. Was used to, and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi.
You can tell he is really tired.
Obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark, and it was deadly.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you. They went in and knocked the power out.
Captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors, operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement, caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position, but they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated.
So if this is true,
what I saw last night,
hold on, I'll tell you what
impressed.
I think.
I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills 25, on average, 25,000 people.
And these are the people that the left is defending.
And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can see proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping.
Venezuela, 51st state. Yeah.
We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure.
I mean, this could actually be a good thing, y'all.
Country.
Venezuela is very rich with natural resources.
Ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too.
So.
He
We
said
actually assumed
51st
that a
state.
second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
partnership
Jeremy.
of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered.
Yep.
So
all
much
the
was
resources
taken
in
from them.
Venezuela
They're not gonna
is a lot.
anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Soles,
Del Sol, yeah.
which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans.
Millions.
Many, many Americans.
Think about that.
Thousands over the
millions
years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship. They'll be heading to, ultimately, New York.
Oof.
And then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida.
I don't know about that one, Trump.
But we have
look at what happened to Epstein.
People where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have.
Look at what happened to Epstein, brother.
It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region.
Yep.
You all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal
You nailed
drugs,
it, Jeremy. Maduro, Epstein, and the resources.
Inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States. Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide, and he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers.
They could completely go out of Ukraine and not lose a dime if they focus on Venezuela now.
And I just have to,
because Ukraine was all resources and all that stuff.
And everybody in our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have on average two a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago.
I think they're in Louisiana, too.
77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know. And
I just said that.
Nice part of Louisiana.
Man, he looks tired, don't he?
That. And it was a
Dude's
rough,
probably been up all night.
And we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already. After
he's tired, man.
New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there. When they need us, we'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua.
Yep.
Animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times,
the California fires,
their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters.
That's a rabbit hole right there.
To steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons, a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and sold American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president.
Billions and billions of dollars.
They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, so we didn't do anything.
Venezuela is getting ready to be
about it.
back
America
on track.
Will never allow foreign powers to rob our
It'll be a
people
rich country again.
Drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that
it's
could
like I was telling you,
US
China and Russia.
interests and lives, and they used those weapons last night.
Yep.
They used those weapons last night.
They got some of it from Russia.
In league with the cartels operating along our border.
And China.
All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy.
And I think Cuba's next.
Dating back more than 2 centuries. And not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines. And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal.
And see, since he's having his press conference, he's in the clear now.
By a real lot.
With Congress.
He
broke no laws because he did it within 48 hours of the first initial strike.
Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting
anybody want to
drop
comment in the chat? Let us know what
our home region
media is going to say.
And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now. Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security.
Yep.
Just like tariffs.
Guaranteed they bring up Congress.
They've made our country rich.
I think so.
And they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power.
And guys, the volume sounds low, but that's not me. This is the White House YouTube page. That's why the volume sounds like this.
Terrorists, we will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them.
Yep.
And it will happen to them if they aren't just fair.
I wonder
The dictator
China
and terrorist Maduro
will go into Taiwan now.
is finally gone, and Venezuela people are free. They're free again.
And they're cheering in the streets.
Them,
and I've showed you that. So don't let people lie to you.
Nation.
They're excited and happy.
It's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks.
Because you didn't have any leaks, Trump.
I mean, it was,
and that should tell you something, dude.
Justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the president said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has.
Because you didn't tell Congress.
American warriors are second to none. The best in the world and the best.
And the Armed Service Committee.
What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry, and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America, and again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president,
I doubt it,
has ever shown.
I think Cuba's next. What do you guys think? Drop a comment in the chat. I think Cuba or Colombia is next.
The world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision.
We just went in. We just went in and took Maduro right out of his country, man. I still can't get over that.
Had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out.
Yep, effed around and found out.
President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity.
You got to get Cuba now, because China's got a death grip on Cuba, China and Russia.
This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026, and under President Trump,
welcome to 2026.
America is back. I'd like to welcome now our chairman, Chairman Raisin Kane, to give a few more details about the operation. Mr. Chairman.
Again, the volume's low because the feed is low, so it's not me.
Last night, on the order of the President of the United States and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, as the President said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists, and we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA,
CIA,
and NGA.
The CIA's been down there
watched,
for years.
We waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission.
This is what happens when you don't have traitors leaking your plans.
For America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by
everybody
our
watching, drop a like and subscribe.
Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. In early December, our force was set pending a series
They gathered
of aligned
major
events.
intel on this guy.
He was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel so, as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings. But when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit.
It was
at
a perfect,
10:46 p.m.
like I told you
Eastern
earlier,
time
it was
last
perfect.
night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciated it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49, and there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected.
Venezuela was postured up, but they didn't have a chance.
By aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area.
They put them stealth bombers
in. The goal
in.
of our air component was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit but remained flyable, and as the President said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with
I think they're going to give him a plea deal
and precision, with no
Maduro
loss of
and
US
his
life.
wife, they know where all the bodies
After
are buried.
securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board, and both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world.
Yep.
I am immensely
This was a precision
proud today
hit
of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project
we took
power,
Venezuela.
defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognize him.
That's rich
He's
coming
not
from the
recognized by
Biden
the
administration,
European Union and
considering they
multiple
worked
countries
with
around
him.
the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And Yeah, exactly. But
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to
play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
He's going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies. Is going to flood our country with gang members. Is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration.
Yep.
Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen.
Yep.
And I hope what people now
That's what cartel leaders do.
The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action.
Lip service.
Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences. And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands.
He thought his little army was going to save him, but a lot of them stood down.
Look, the president doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Is that a message for Cuba, Mr. President?
Yeah, didn't I just tell you about Cuba? They just said, is that a message to Cuba? I think Cuba is next.
Please.
You can't even hear what they're saying.
It with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild.
Yeah, drop a like and subscribe. Thanks, Captain.
Billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. So we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of.
There's so much money to be made with Venezuela right now.
The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody.
Yeah.
It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it.
Yeah, that country has been declined for so long.
Industry there. And they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something.
Yeah, Biden, because he benefited from it.
We did something about it. Yeah, please.
Mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's all
51st state
done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people.
51st state, like Captain said.
I'm going to let you know who those people are.
Would run Venezuela.
Well, it's largely going to be for a period of time. The people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead, I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Venezuela has so much potential. I don't think anybody realizes how rich Venezuela was at one point.
Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there.
They got a lot of resources, though.
We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others. We have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Rubio would be.
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship going?
I would get rid of the whole regime.
But she was, as you know, picked.
Get rid of all of them, I'm telling you, or you're going to end up with the same problem.
Just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President,
once you're out of office, dude, it's over.
A couple weeks ago, you said he's got to watch his ass. And today, he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So, just what your message is about that?
Well, he has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Yeah, it's like I was just telling you.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Boom, Captain. You got it, dude. They brought up Congress.
This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was
a
trigger-based mission.
Nailed it, brother.
Had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days.
And as I told you, he didn't have to notify Congress.
Say, hey, we may do this at some
legally,
point
he did not have to.
But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, and the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
Yeah, leaks, just like I stated earlier.
Congress has a tendency
they would have
to
leaked
leak.
the whole plan.
This would not be good.
Boom.
If they leaked,
nailed it.
I think it would have been maybe a very different
That's what
result.
I was saying earlier.
But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, A lot of ships out there, they sort of knew we were coming. We went through. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
People to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. The safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. People were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to a safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47.
Yeah, they would have put some Semtex on there and blew the door right off the hinges.
Of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it.
He had a panic room. He was trying to, or a bunker.
In the time being right now, do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President.
Yeah, because they're asking where they're going to have him because they want to Epstein him.
Without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards.
Not with
Did
me.
that weigh on your decision?
Well, that's when we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me, we've had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot, and we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful,
well, with Israel,
Hammer,
brother,
you wouldn't have.
You're never going to have peace there with Israel.
With me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
Israel and Iran feuding all the time. You'll never have peace. That's just a fact.
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. We're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's blow-up territory. Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to take out of the ground. can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old. It's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country. Yeah.
Are you saying that Secretary Rubio and
Holy shit. Damn, that was
China,
loud.
Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationships with them when it comes to the oil and drugs?
And Russia, well, Russia when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to give it.
We're about to make so much money off Venezuelan oil and the resources there.
They couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now, but I would say many more will come.
Are you saying, Mr. President, are you saying that, Mr. President, are you saying
Chad,
that?
I'm sorry about
Mr.
that.
President,
It's
thank you.
not me.
What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of Venezuela?
That you're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have
the people are cheering in the streets. Everybody's celebrating.
For a long period of time, it was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country. And they destroyed it. Remember I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly when you look at the border.
It would have been bad.
From 2020. What they did, what Joe Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly where Venezuela was in terms. I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids, and that's what would have happened.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
troops to provide? They're going to be a team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is
you'll have lawlessness in the streets.
A vice president who's been appointed by Maduro. And right now she's the vice president.
That's a mistake, man.
I guess the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, "We'll do whatever you."
Anybody that had loyalty to Maduro, gracious, they need to be out.
She really doesn't have a choice.
Clean the whole place. I'm telling you.
We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else. Leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left. It has zero chance of ever coming back.
Yeah,
we'll run it properly.
It would be the same thing with Maduro,
we'll have
just
the greatest oil
with somebody
companies
else
in the world going and invest billions and billions of dollars, and take out money, use that money in Venezuela, and the biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough: the people that got thrown out of Venezuela, that are now in the United States, and frankly, some want to stay, and some probably want to go back. Yeah.
The country, and were any of the detained Americans?
Well, right now they're very protected because nobody's going to mess with us. They're very protected. The people of, and we let them know that you better not touch one of them.
Are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
We know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago.
That's what I was just saying.
You, Mr.
President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well, I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to surround ourselves with stability. We want to surround ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead.
Is there a message here for Cuba and Diaz-Canel?
Well, Cuba's an interesting case.
Mm-hmm.
Cuba is,
I think Cuba and Colombia are next.
Right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now. Very bad.
I was just saying that earlier in the stream. I think Cuba is next.
It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well, I mean, I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile but incompetent nonetheless. It has no economy. It's in total collapse. And
they're not incompetent. They know exactly what they're doing.
All of the guards that help.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba that tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
Yeah. I think Cuba's next.
Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
The answer is yes. Yes. No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President.
We're about to make so much money off Venezuela.
I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect to be the leader.
Mr. President, is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well,
it's possible.
Cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial, so it's not going to cost us anything. We will. Well, we want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies.
New World Order, it's a plan.
Happening, and you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding and
Burtis, do you want to call in and elaborate on that?
They're going to spend money. We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night.
Yeah.
We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries, and we also have to have energy. Very important.
There's a lot of money in Venezuela. I don't know if anybody realizes that.
4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground.
I mean, it's a lot.
Look, it was such a disaster. So
in regards to resources,
Venezuela, I think over the next period of a year, is going to be a great thing, and the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Going to send in the U.S. military.
Mr. President, thank you. What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well,
US
I don't want to get into the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, you got to surrender. And
yeah, exactly, Captain. Venezuela is a very resource-rich country. Absolutely.
You said that Maduro is responsible for drug trafficking. You recently pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of many drug trafficking. Can you explain how these two situations are different? And would you ever pardon Maduro?
I endorsed, as you know, the winning president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
You referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that country?
No, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. And that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement.
Oh, absolutely,
for the damages
Captain.
caused us by that country. So I want to thank you all very
Venezuela
much.
ran the whole thing with Smartmatic. It came out of Venezuela.
Unless it's a bad question. In
It's
which
about
case, I'll
Putin.
go one word. It's about who?
It's about Putin, if you want.
About Putin. Well,
Okay.
Putin. Here we go.
You had a phone call with him
Yeah.
on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't.
And
We
then-
never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled.
Oh
with
my
Putin.
God.
I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people. I thought.
Well, I
that
mean,
would be
because
so.
Ukraine
I
literally
settled 8
tried to
1/4.
fly a drone
You know what
into
the
his
1/4
house.
was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out, and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm
See,
giving
Trump's trying to
myself
stop
1/4,
this
so I'm
the
not getting
Ukraine
out
war,
8 and
but
1/4.
Ukraine
In
keeps
other
the
words, I
war
settled
going.
The war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace. So I only give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not. And they both have.
It's not
done some
because you got the
pretty bad
EU
things.
pushing everything and
look,
NATO.
That's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month, 30,000, this last.
Yeah,
was
it's
27
sad, man. Too many people are
27,000
dying.
The month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000.
Yeah, it's sad,
I
man.
want to stop that. You know, I
It
got
should have
NATO
never
to pay
started to begin
5%
with.
Instead of the 2%.
But that's a
they
whole
weren't paying.
nother
They
live
weren't paying
stream
too, now they
to
pay
go
for
into
it.
that of
And
why
we
it
send them a
started.
lot of munitions,
The
we send them a
real
lot of
reason
things,
why it
missiles
started.
and various other things.
That a lot of people don't talk
And
about.
They pay. The United States is not losing money. We're probably making money on that. It's the last thing I care about. I just want to stop all those people. We're losing 25, 30,000 human beings. They come from two places that are very far away. But if I can stop, because it's something I've been pretty good at doing, deals, I guess. It's all a deal. Life is a big deal. But if I can stop that war and stop 30,000 young people, in addition to the fact that people are being killed in Kiev, people are being killed in other cities throughout, a much smaller number, but they're being killed, viciously killed. So I'm not happy about it. I thought that would be something that would get solved. We have Mr. Witkoff here. I think that we're making progress, but that's a war that should have never happened. If I were president, it would have never happened. Putin says it. Everybody says it. If I were president, that would have never happened. But I inherited that war. That was Joe Biden,
Yeah,
Zelensky,
yeah.
and
Everyone
Putin.
drop a like
I
and
came
subscribe.
into the situation, and it's a mess. And I will say this. I watched an operation last night that was so precise, that was so brilliant. I mean, it was incredible. If we had our people, like this general and our people involved, that war would not have gone on very long, that I can tell you. That war, to use an old term,
The war in
that
Ukraine
war
needs
has
to
become
end because
a
too many people are
bloodbath.
dying, man.
And we want it to get stopped. Thank you very much, everybody.
So there you have it. There was the press conference. So let's go back to my feed. And see if anything has changed. So let's go to latest. Yeah, see, you got people that are trying to say that they bombed Venezuela for the oil. I think it goes a lot deeper than oil. It's way, way deeper than oil. It has to do with a lot. And I think with the whole Smartmatic voting machine stuff that came out.
We missed you.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, I had something else playing in the background, which I don't need. Yeah, so like I was saying, I think the whole thing with Venezuela, it's a lot deeper than oil, and I think the most of the reason why, and especially with why they captured Maduro, is because Maduro knows where all the bodies are buried with the Democrat Party. And see, and now you got people in the Democrat Party, they're literally probably all shitting bricks right now. Every damn one of them. Especially with the whole, especially if the whole Smartmatic voting machine thing comes out, and once that becomes public, like, and it actually gets in the mainstream and gets the coverage that it deserves, instead of just one or two news stations covering it and, you know, independent journalists covering it, with the fact that the elections in these like 73 or 75 countries over the last 20 plus years, the elections have all been rigged, every one of them. And that is in part due to Venezuela and the Smartmatic voting machines. And in another place, it came out of, I think a part of Siberia was another place. But the majority of everything, it all comes out of Venezuela. Every bit of it. Every bit of it. But that's all I have for you today. It's been over 2 hours, over a 2-hour live stream. If anything else changes, I will go live again. I want to say thank you to everyone that showed up. All of my loyal OGs, Captain, Jeremy, you guys are legends. Thank you for showing up. I want to try to keep doing these lives and get my channel built up. I want to get 500. If I can hit 500 subscribers and get the amount of view hours that I need, I can start doing member-only live streams, and then members can... it's like a subscription-based thing that YouTube does. Now, once I hit 1,000 subscribers and get, I think it's 4,000 watch hours, I can actually do ads. Like, they can run ads on my stuff, and I can get monetization through ads. But my next goal is to get the 500 subscriber goal. So if you can, share the channel out, get it out there, let everybody know, and drop a like and subscribe. I would really greatly appreciate it. But until next time, stay safe. God bless. Keep on prepping. Patriot Independence out.